Everybody thinks they know what happened. They don't.
That's fine, dude. I'm not mad at you. Show your face. I'm not mad at you. That's okay. We don't change our plates every morning, just so you know. It'll be the same plate when you come talk to us later. That's fine. U.S. citizen, former fucking country. You want to come at us? You want to come at us? I say go get yourself some lunch, big boy. Go ahead.
Out of the car. Get out of the fucking car. Get out of the car.
We pause it right here. Now, everyone's heard a version of the story, but nobody's shown you what ICE had to decide in a split second with this new release body cam footage. Now, here's the cold, honest truth. This isn't a feel-good protest clip for obvious reasons. This is an ICE enforcement operation in action. ICE didn't stroll up to debate nobody. And that man, he walked into a situation where a vehicle, a 2-ton machine, might I add, can instantly become a weapon. That's what federal agents train for, threat assessment, not no narrative sound bites, you know what I'm saying? And yes, she says calm words before, this moment, but calm words don't stop a moving car. And that's exactly why the media didn't want you to start here. Y'all see this post? Y'all can read the caption right there. This statement here is the uncomfortable truth the left refuses to admit. If Renee Good had been struck and killed by an illegal alien, not by a nice agent, this wouldn't have dominated headlines. That's media bias. Plain and simple. Not coverage, curation of outrage. The media chooses which, lives get front page sympathy and which ones don't.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have Jasmine Crocodile Tears Crockett.
A little bit of courage and humanity. A child. A child has lost her mom. And y'all want to pretend that it is okay. I am asking if there is anyone that will stand for the very people that elected us and sent us to Congress. You tell us things like, well, the immigrants are bad. And so we got to get all these bills because
Girl, shut the hell up. Shut up. Girl. You don't give a damn about that middle-aged white woman. You don't give a fuck about her or her kids. Bitch, please. Please. Like, I don't know who you think you're fooling. Sad part is there's some low IQ idiots that are probably crying with her. I'm not buying that bullshit. What about when Charlie Kirk died? Y'all motherfuckers was rejoicing. He deserved it. That's what I remember. What about Lake and Riley? Y'all don't cry when American citizens get killed by these illegal motherfuckers. Veterans sleeping on the street while you prioritize illegals. You don't give a fuck about that white woman. And she caused her death on herself. I don't care. I'm sorry. Nobody told her ass to go out there and impede ICE. You're a mom. What the fuck are you doing on a Wednesday afternoon obstructing law enforcement? Where the fuck were your kids? Like, why weren't you at home with your children? I am a mother. I'm a mother first. You won't ever catch me doing no dumb, irresponsible shit like that. And Jasmine Crockett, girl, shut your bitch ass up. Nobody's buying it. And if you are buying it, I have a beachfront beach house in Las Vegas that I can sell you right now. We're done with this shit, girl. You are a theater kid. Nobody's buying that bullshit. I'm sorry. I'm not. How long before we don't have to see this bitch anymore? Because I'm tired of her. Like, Didn't they draw you out of your district? You hurry up and get the fuck. You definitely not making it to the Senate either. So, girl, bye. Like, this lady is. This is what happens when you don't have no man and you don't have any children or anything to live for. You turn into this. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below.
Crockett cried on the House floor, and the left is framing it as noble. But when they hear law enforcement faces danger, you get nothing but spin and excuses. Notice how people react here, not because they're cruel, but because they're finally applying the same standard to everyone. That's what honest Americans want. Consistency. And that's where the narrative war really begins.
They keep saying, but Renee had kids. Yeah, Charlie Kirk did too. And I watched people laugh, crack jokes, and hit them little laughing emojis like it was nothing. No prayers, no think of the family, none of that. So don't come to me now acting like you suddenly found a heart. Here's a truth that no one wants to say out loud, but I will. Having kids does not make you immune from consequences. It doesn't turn bad decisions into tragic misunderstandings. And it doesn't make you a get-out-of-jail-free card. If you're a parent, your number one job is to make it home. And sometimes the hardest part of being grown is admitting, hey, you shouldn't have been somewhere you weren't supposed to be. I'm not celebrating anybody's pain. I ain't dancing on it. I'm just not doing the fake sympathy when I know for a fact you wouldn't give the same grace to people you hate. Someone like me. So miss me with the lectures, and if you want compassion, keep it consistent. If you want accountability, I'm right here.
I love this line because, it's simple and unarguable. Having kids doesn't make you immune from consequences. The left pretends, empathy is sacred to some degree until someone they like has to face real life. It's not compassion either. That's what we call convenience. Because once emotion overtakes the context, things get really messy.
Hey, just a little tidbit about the left's new hero. Yeah, she only has custody of one of her kids. And the reason she only has custody of one is that her domestic partner, a woman, she likes to beat the shit out of kids and put cigarettes out on their arm. And she chose that woman over her kids. Yeah, the court was basically like, hold on, if you're gonna stay with her, you don't get to keep the kids. And she was like, yeah, that's fine. So when people were asking, why was this mother not at home taking care of her children? It's because her children were taken away from her. Because her partner likes to beat the shit out of them and use their fucking arms as ashtrays. Like, it's amazing to me that every hero of the left turns out to be an awful human being. Like, that sounds surprising, but it's the reality. Because anybody that would believe in the ideology that the left believes, anybody that would take action and try to run over a federal agent, I could assume that they were an idiotic piece of shit. But I have to say that the level of choosing your partner over your children, of staying with someone who likes to beat the shit out of your kids, that's a new level.
Look at the timing. Context of Renee's past wasn't front loaded. Why? Because the emotional angle sell before the factual angle ever lands. Journalism isn't supposed to do that, but narrative media does it every damn time. And when narrative media controls the timeline, leadership is forced to do damage control. Mayor Fry.
The way you put it, it's pretty grim. What you just said, and I think, to repeat for everybody, Donald Trump said that Renee ran the ICE agent over. Don't take my word for it. Don't take their word for it. Watch the video from every single angle. I mean, the ICE agent walked away with a hip injury that he might as well have gotten from closing a refrigerator door with his hips. He was not injured. I've seen worse injuries from doing that. And so give me a break. No, he was not ran over. He walked out of there with a hop in his step. The way you put it, it's pretty grim.
Now
what
we
you
have
just said, and I
Mayor Fry, or however you want to call this man's name, is Fry, calling the federal explanation garbage. But here's the problem. Frey didn't disapprove the footage. He didn't reframe it. That's how the left usually operates as well. Change the interpretation and nothing, not the facts. And when interpretations explode into real actions, this is what you get.
With no cause and murdering people for trying to flee and for obeying a command to leave the area and then shooting her in the face like that after she drops her kid off at school. We have to show up with guns. We have to. There's no other way around it. I don't care if I don't have a Minnesota carry permit. I'm unarmed right now, but this is the last time I show up to face these guys without a weapon. There's no way. I got shot with a pepper ball 5 minutes after walking in here. I never laid a finger on them. I never raised a hand to them. I've only been using my voice. The time for speaking is over. The time for niceties is over. The time for peace is over. They fired the first shot. It is time to end this shit by any means necessary.
You're talking about, potentially going to a dark place in this country. Do you foresee
We're there. This is the dark place. This is the dark time. We have people being sent to Salvadorian concentration camps. We got other countries being raided for their oil. We're in the dark time. There's no way out of this. There's no voting our way out of this. We can't wait till November. There's no waiting to the ballot box. We need to get to the bullet box. That's the only way. If there was another way, I'd be advocating for it. I've spoken peacefully. I've marched peacefully. I marched with Al Sharpton. I marched on Washington. I've been peaceful. I've acted peacefully. The time for peace is over. The time for any means necessary is right now.
That's a powerful, powerful message that you're delivering.
You see that? That's the logical end of emotion before context, right? When you feed outrage, when you frame it as injustice before you verify the facts, you don't get discussion. You quite literally get escalation. And then, my God, Trump, the politics got to jump in.
Do you believe that the FBI should be sharing evidence with state officials in Minnesota?
Well, normally I would, but they're crooked officials. Minneapolis and Minnesota, what a beautiful place, but it's being destroyed. It's got an incompetent governor, fool. He's a stupid person. And it looks like the number could be $19 billion stolen from a lot of people, but largely people from Somalia. They buy their vote. They vote in a group. They buy their vote. They sell more Mercedes-Benzes in that area than almost. Can you imagine you come over with no money and then shortly thereafter you're driving a Mercedes-Benz? The whole thing is ridiculous. So they're very corrupt people. It's a very corrupt state.
Do you believe that the FBI should be sharing evidence with state?
Here's leadership that refuses to bend. My God, Trump, he doesn't fold. Never does. Leftist politicians wanted access, narratives first, and evidence later. Trump said, nope, because evidence matters more than optics, and federal law enforcement deserves support when they face danger. And then this happens.
I made a mistake, and I want to apologize and make a correction. Yesterday, I released a video on the incident where ICE killed Renee Good. I made the point that Renee's death is a tragedy and that she put herself in harm's way by making poor choices. But here's the most important thing I missed. I scrutinized her a lot, but didn't scrutinize the officer enough. Look at this clip. To my eye, the car is moving, but it looks like the officer also moves into the path of the car. Watch it yourself and tell me what you see. A retired ICE agent said, I don't understand the tactical or law enforcement advantage of someone on foot in front of a moving, running, or occupied vehicle. You're almost inducing a shooting if that person decides to flee. Renee still might have made poor choices. If she was blocking ICE with her car, she shouldn't have. If she was trying to flee, she shouldn't have. On the other hand, the officer has an extremely hard job, but he probably shouldn't have been in front of the car. Him being there makes it hard to know whether Renee was irrational or homicidal. And he put himself in a position where he had to make a terrible choice in a split second. Maybe he shot a woman who just panicked, and her emotions don't absolve her of responsibility, but officers are going to meet people who panic. Those people need consequences, but the officer's choices influence whether the consequences are handcuffs or death. I jump to conclusions. I'm human. That means I'm biased, just like everyone else. I try really hard to check myself, and sometimes I fail. This is one of those times. I was too focused on how I'm right and not enough on how I might be wrong. I rushed. I let myself get caught up in the storm of virality and emotionality rather than taking my time, even if it means less views. Look, I have a right-leaning bias. I already know that. I also realized that I've been frustrated that often the powerful get all the blame while personal responsibility is ignored. And that's why I fixated on Renee's behavior, because I felt others were totally excusing it. But it's also true that with great power comes great responsibility. An officer has training, authority, and a gun. That means he has more responsibility. So it's human to feel frustrated, but it's irresponsible of me to let it cloud my commentary. This is still a developing story, but the lessons I've learned will change. Like the lesson to take my time and don't feel pressure to speak just because others are. And make the best argument for both sides before I choose one. And sometimes it's better to be later and right than early and wrong. This wasn't my best work. So, I'm sorry.
This is where people memory hole what actually happened. Before the apology, before the pressure, before the pile on, I felt like Kazem said the quiet part out loud. Locking federal agents, advancing a vehicle in a confined space, and ignoring commands during an active operation. That's not politics. That's a risk. That was a decision. And ICE agents don't get the luxury of waiting to see how the internet feels about it. He didn't say it was pretty. He didn't say it wasn't tragic. He said it was dangerous, and that part was right. And this is where the left changes the rules after the fact. Once emotion, hits a certain level, the standard, it shifts. Suddenly, we're not asking what an agent is trained to do. We're asking how it felt. But law enforcement doesn't operate on vibes, y'all. They operate on threat assessment. Seconds, not headlines. You don't get to rewrite that because the story got loud. Now, here's the reality the left don't want you to sit with. ICE agents are sent into these hostile environments to enforce laws. Politicians are too cowardly to defend out loud. They don't choose chaos. They respond to it. And when you turn every enforcement action into a morality play, you don't make anyone safer. You make the next encounter even more dangerous. This wasn't about tears and no hashtags. This wasn't even about Renee Good as a symbol. It was about a moment where federal agents had to make a split-second call in a situation that never should have escalated in the first place. Support law enforcement, man. Demand the truth and stop letting the loudest people rewrite history. And if you made it to the end of this video, I simply want you to write reality over narratives, not even for the algorithm, for me. That way I know that you made it to the end. Y'all be safe. Go check on a friend today. You can quite literally be saving their life. Peace.